More than 200 years ago, Americans fought a revolution against big government.
He has erected a multitude of new offices and has sent hither swarms of officials to harass our people and eat out their substance.
George III and his bureaucrats taxed and controlled their lives until the people said, enough.
Welcome to On Second Thought, where William Wagner gives you information that ought to give you second thoughts about the unconstitutional acts of our local, state, and federal government. I am Megan Wells. Now, producer and host of On Second Thought, the good guy in the white hat, William Wagner.
Wow, taking off the hat for you people. Thanks for tuning in tonight. The rest of this show is live. Today is August 3rd. Our government is, how shall I say it, thoroughly and without redeeming value corrupt up to the gills. Not only, I'm not just talking about the legislature. I'm not just talking about the ex-governor Schwarzenegger, the banger Terminator, who, just didn't know which maid not to. Is it true that there were over 100 out-of-court settlements for ass grabbing and tit pinching?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Is that true?
Oh my goodness.
And that was settled out of court? So we never heard about it. Why? Because the lamestream media does not want you to know how really, thoroughly, and without redeeming value corrupt your government is. But also, the courts are corrupt. And tonight's show, I would label justice for the just us.
Amen.
Of the California Supreme Court. Now, I have some questions. There's a great article. You're going to really not want to tune out. You might see sexy girls and bouncing stuff here. You know, you don't have to change the channel. And if not, we got Dan. And he can bounce a lot. Anyway, this article, sent to me by the ever vigilant Bob Bertrand, a Canadian who lived his whole life in Miami, Florida. It's titled, The Rule of Lawyers, not the rule of law, not the rule of common law, which was intended to protect you and to protect me. No, the rule now is by the lawyers. They can make it up out of their head as they go. And if they don't, the judge will pull some laws out of his hat. And they just clamp it on you and say, no, that's my ruling. You know what's wrong with our system? And I have lawyers calling me now at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight saying, Mr. Wagner, please help me. Now, these are attorneys calling me. You know, I'm supposed to be the one calling the attorneys saying, would you help me? No, the attorney's calling me. What help do they want? They want my camera in their courtroom because the judge is being so completely, thoroughly corrupt. And one of the problems that are big problem with our system is when a judge makes a ruling and he lays it down like that and says, that's my ruling, that's it, live with it. Whether he's taking your child away without a jury trial, which is criminal and illegal, you are guaranteed by the 7th Amendment anything worth more than $20. You cannot have your jury rights waived.
We want our rights back.
Exactly. We want our rights back, and it's long over time we get them back. But now we have a war going on, and there's a lot of dead bodies. Roll the tape. I want you to see this. The people who should be dying are those that steal millions of taxpayer dollars and get away with it because they are the court. When a judge makes a ruling, he slaps it down, he should be required to state the exact reason he ruled such and such based on what case, based on what evidence. Now they just make a ruling, and you have to guess what to appeal it on. Sometimes you know, but most often you don't know. This article, written by Stephen Fleury some time back, and you can find it at judicialaccountability.org or disbarthefloridabar.org. And he writes in here, Jesus Christ's message generally led audiences to respond in one of two ways. He astonished the general public. He angered the educated elite. We read of both reactions in Matthew 22:33-34. After seeing how the multitudes were moved by Jesus' words, the Pharisees and the Sadducees gathered themselves together. They didn't even like each other, but Jesus drove them together, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and they didn't even like each other. That's how powerful Jesus' words were. And they came together to plot against Christ. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked Christ a question, tempting him. Wouldn't you know it'd be a lawyer that would tempt him? He asked Christ a question, tempting him. Put to silence by Christ's message, the leading Jews conferred among themselves and then sent forward their lawyer. He was interested in truth. He wanted to tempt Christ, to trick him into doing or saying something unlawful. Isn't that what court's all about? Trying to trick you? Rather than trying to get the justice, they just want to trick you so they can hammer you, fine you, take your property, take your money, put you in jail. But Christ would not be tricked. He knew how to expose the chicanery of the so-called experts in the Mosaic law. In verse 46 it says, no man was able to answer him a word. Neither durst any man from that day forth ask him any more questions. Wow. California guy, another guy, Acosta, Clark, all these guys died. Robert Abad, 22 from Los Angeles, from Sunnyvale, California. Bum R. Lee, 21. Lance Corporal Justin T. Hunt, 22 from Riverside, California. These guys all died years ago. Spec Ojeda from Ramona, California. Died May 1st, 04. Here's a guy from Porterville, nice clean-cut kid named Mitchell. His dad never got over it. I've met his dad. And here's Casey Sheehan, the mother of that Sheehan gal that was protesting all over America. Here's Christopher Hill, died on March 11th, 04. Here's Jesse D. Mitzner from Oceanside, California. All these guys died. And for what? These are the wrong people to have died. The reason they died is because of that biblical verse. My people, what? My people suffer for lack of knowledge. The knowledge they don't have is that somebody didn't like these little things. These are very old, crinkled up, very valuable, continental, pre-Constitution money. These are colonial certificates that the colonies used to trade between businessmen. And they didn't need a national bank. It's all about the bankers. The bankers brought in the lawyers so they could swindle you. And if you go look on my YouTube channel, look at the hidden 13th Amendment, passed exactly, ratified 200 years ago by sufficient states of the original states that existed in 1812. And it said, if you take an honor or even claim an honor, you cannot hold any office in the United States. Now, Vice President Cheney took an honorary title from the Queen of England. He should have been disbarred from vice presidency immediately. That's what the original 13th Amendment said. But more than that, all these members of the bar stands for British Accreditation Registry, BAR. Well, under the original 13th Amendment, if you claimed an honor from a foreign prince or power or principality, you lost your U.S. citizenship. So all the bar members cannot be district attorneys. They cannot be judges. They are forbidden. So what do you think they did? They created a lot of law schools, filtered out their people for about 60, 70 years, got them into all the colleges, in all the courtrooms. Lawyers used to be barred from appearing in a courtroom after the original 13th Amendment. They didn't even have any of the American bars. They had the British bar, and they were barred, literally barred. They could not even enter the room. They snuck in because they'd write somebody's will, and then they'd have to come in and explain what the will meant because the heirs were fighting, and that's how they got their foot in the door. And the next thing, you know, give them a couple decades, and they're claiming the right to be judges, which was forbidden. Then they moved on to say nobody else can be judges except us. Then they pushed away the common law. They hid the original 13th Amendment. And now we have the rule of lawyers, not the rule of common law. So what am I getting to? Now we've got to the point where cops can beat somebody to death like they did in the Kelly Thomas case down in Orange County about a year ago.
Okay, fuck, dude. Okay. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What's up with that? Okay, I can't breathe, dude. Okay. Yeah, dude, I can't breathe, man. Fuck. Please, I can't breathe. Okay.
Literally took this homeless man, and I have a video from the surveillance tape at the bus station, and he's standing there peacefully, and along comes this cop, and he starts swinging his baton in a threatening manner. If you and I did that to a cop, they'd arrest us for brandishing a weapon. That's what that cop did. But he wasn't satisfied. He had to tell Kelly to sit down, tell him to shut up, tell him to tell him something. Well, Kelly was homeless. He was also schizophrenic. And his father was an ex-cop. And here's this dumb butt cop who should have never been allowed to be a cop. And pretty soon, he's beating on him, knocking him, chasing him. Now other cops pile on him and they crush him till he died a few days later. And you can see his face is all emaciated. Dan Petrie's with me in the studio here today. Isn't that right, Dan?
Yes, sir.
Did I tell any lies?
No, sir. It was horrible. It was the whole time Kelly Thomas was being beaten to death by these police officers, and I know this is from his father, taught him to love police because his father was one. He kept saying, "Sir, I can't breathe. Sir, I'm sorry." So while he was being beaten to death, this 135-pound mentally ill, homeless, schizophrenic man was calling the police officers who were beating him to death, "Sir." Now, the police tried to write the police report up that he was resisting arrest. No, he wasn't resisting arrest. This is what goes on way too often in America, that they finally got caught because it's all on tape. They couldn't have had a camera placed any better with better audio than they have on this one case. It was unbelievable how this was camera was perfectly, situated to catch this whole crime. Now, if that camera hadn't been there, they probably got away with it because the police would have wrote the report up that Kelly was combative, that he was resisting arrest, that he was fighting back. They would have done all the stuff that the police are notorious for doing, and without the video, they'd have got away with it. But the video said that he didn't do any of that. He didn't.
Yeah, the video is
he begged
so
for his
clear.
life.
He was begging. He's saying, dude, I'm sorry, dude.
Dad. Screaming for his dad.
And then he started saying, Dad.
39 times he cried out for his dad.
Dad, help me, Dad.
39 times.
His dad couldn't help him. His dad wasn't there. His dad was horrified when he found out some other cops had beaten his homeless son to death.